Culture never collapses overnight. It drifts slowly, quietly, until it drops off a cliff. And the scariest part, most leaders don't see it coming until it's too late. Hi, I'm Sharon, the Culture Catalyst. Welcome to Culture Shift in Action, the series where I show business leaders like you how to spot gaps, make shifts, and build thriving teams in just 10 minutes. This episode is all about culture drift. And why does that matter? Culture drift is what happens when the values that were written on the wall and in the handbook no longer match the behaviors that are happening within your organization. You say collaboration, but teams are competing. You say innovation or be brave, but teams keep playing it safe. It's death by 1,000 small contradictions. And even in small businesses, culture drift can tank growth, engagement, and retention. If you're worried that your culture has drifted, I've got some really helpful techniques that you can implement from tomorrow that should help you build a thriving team, not just a surviving team. First is what I call the drifter spotter matrix. This is where you're going to really zone in on the things and the signals that might mean that your culture has drifted a little bit. Here are some well-known signs that I've seen in businesses where culture has definitely drifted. Leaders talk all about purpose, employees only talk about workload. Processes are followed, but energy is just missing. People do what is asked of them, but not a drop more. Take these signs and signals and map them against your culture goals as a business. If you see some gaps, then you're already drifting. The next one takes inspiration from a really well-known case study. It's called the Ford test. This goes back to when Alan Mulally was turning around the Ford enterprise. They reversed near bankruptcy by aligning their culture with their strategy. So the first thing to put in place is weekly transparency meetings. This is a session where people are allowed to come in and admit mistakes. And guess what? The leaders start first. It's a really important way that you and your teams can win over silos. And to be pragmatic about it, in your business, this could look like weekly check-ins on your values, seeking out examples of those and showcasing them, or calling out where behaviors do not match what the values say on the wall. You could start every meeting by sharing one mistake. And if you want it to be really powerful, amp it up by describing the learning that you gained by making that mistake. This kind of work is all about vulnerability, which is one of the key anchors in developing a really healthy culture. Another technique is the drift pulse check. Ask your team, do our daily behaviors, the things, the actions that we do every single day in work, whether that's in the office or remote or hybrid, ask your team, do those actions that happen every single day reflect our values? The next question is, where are you seeing the biggest gap? Point it out. Explain to me what the difference between what we say and what we do is. And lastly, ask your team, what change would make us feel more consistent and truly aligned to our values? If you run something like this quarterly, it will really help you see if your culture is drifting or not. Culture drift won't announce itself. You have to go and look for it. Next, I want you to think about dropping a drift anchor. You can combat culture drift by anchoring every big business decision by asking these 3 questions. Number 1, does this align with our purpose, our reason for being? Number 2, does it reinforce our values? Number 3, and my favorite, will our people see it and feel it? If the answer to any of those questions is no, you are fueling culture drift. You're not fueling culture shift. As with all the videos I'm doing in this series, as well as calling out all the things you should do, I want to make sure I call out the things you definitely shouldn't do. Don't assume that your culture will hold steady, especially during a change or transformation period when the business is evolving. In fact, that's often the time that you need to pay most attention to your culture drifting. Don't dismiss culture drift as harmless. This is the kind of thing that compounds over time and gives you a snowball effect. And don't delegate culture to HR because it's their job. It's absolutely a leadership role. You and your team need to take a hold of this and do something different. Culture shift is the silent killer of most businesses. And let me tell you a secret, it doesn't scream, it whispers. Here's your plan of action to stop culture drift. Firstly, spot the culture drift signs by doing a drift spotting matrix. Build those alignment rituals like Alan Mulally did at Ford. Run those really intentional culture drift pulse checks on a quarterly basis. Anchor those important business decisions in your purpose and in your values. Culture drift isn't inevitable, but ignoring it is. If you want the full culture blueprint with all of the tools, the templates, and real examples, click the link in the description. And if you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, click on the like and the subscribe button and share it with somebody else who you think might benefit. And remember, culture doesn't fail in those big moments. It fails in those small ones unless you catch the drift. See you next time.